Hello everyone, welcome back to EduTap. So in today's session we are going to discuss a very important news article of finance that is regarding the Reserve Bank of India that has recently removed the Central Bank of India from the PCA framework. That is in September 2022 only, that is in this month only. So why the RBI has removed the Central Bank of India from the PCA framework? What is this PCA framework? We will be discussing in brief. As well as we will also discuss about the MANI app in brief, because the RBI has recently informed about the update in the MANI app, okay, in its notification. So this app is also very important. The features of this app is also very important. So all of this we are going to discuss in today's session. But before starting with the session, please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are new to the channel, and join our Telegram channel for the PDF of this session. And you can get the link of the Telegram channel in the description box below. So now starting with the first news article, that is the RBI has taken out or removed the Central Bank of India from the PCA framework, that is the Prompt Corrective Action framework. So first of all, what is this PCA framework? See, the PCA framework we are going to discuss regarding the banks. So the banks are a very important authority or institution in India. Okay, the banks have the money of the depositors. Now if the bank gets unhealthy, it becomes troublesome for the depositors of the country, for the people of the country. So let me give you an example that if a bank has too high NPAs, that is the non-performing assets are very high, the banks are giving the loans but the loans are not coming back, the interest is not coming back, so the banks are losing the money. As well as the banks are also not keeping adequate capital with themselves, adequate money with themselves, and when the depositors are coming to take out their money, the banks are not able to give the money to the depositors. So that means this bank is very unhealthy. Okay, when a person is unhealthy, what does the person do? The person goes to the hospital and stays in the hospital until the person gets well. So similarly for the banks, when the banks get unhealthy, the PCA framework has been introduced. So if the bank is unhealthy, the bank is kept under the PCA framework until the banks get healthy. And there are the parameters that the banks have to follow if they do not want to go in the PCA framework. Like if I am afraid to go in the hospital, I will maintain my health, I will eat healthy, I will drink a lot of water. So similarly, the bank has to follow some criteria if it does not want to go to the PCA framework. And these are the criteria. So if the banks are not following these criteria, then the banks are unhealthy and they are kept in the PCA framework. Because if the banks get insolvent, if the banks have too much losses, if the bank is not able to give the depositors the money, it becomes troublesome for the people. The people lose the trust in the banking system, in the financial institutions, and that is bad for the country. And so the RBI has decided about this PCA framework that if the bank is unhealthy, it will be kept under the prompt corrective action. That is, it will have to take the corrective actions, it will have some restrictions, and so the banks will get healthy. So these are the parameters, and if the bank do not follow these parameters, they will be kept under the PCA framework where the restrictions will be imposed on the banks. Okay, and the RBI will be looking over those banks very closely, that what they are doing and what steps should be taken to make them healthy. Okay, so the first parameter is the capital adequacy ratio. That is, the banks have to maintain adequate capital with themselves. So in the distress situation, they can easily give the depositors the money, or they can easily come out of the distress situation. Okay, that is also known as the capital to risk weighted asset ratio. That is the risk that they are taking by giving the loans. If the risk is high, the weightage of the risk is high, they have to keep high asset with themselves, high capital with themselves. So see, that means the loan that they are giving, the loan that the bank is giving, it is the asset for the bank, because the bank is earning something on the loan. So the loan is the asset for the bank. Now if the risk is high in this asset, because when I am giving the loan, if I am giving even 100 rupees to you, so it becomes like you might not return it, so that will become a risk for me. Okay, so if the risk is very high, you are a very close friend of mine and I have complete trust on you, so the risk is 0%. 2%, 3%. If a person is a stranger, the risk is very high. It is 50%, 60%, 70%. So if the risk is very high, the more capital has to be kept with the bank against that loan. So if the loan is of 50,000, the capital the bank have to keep, maybe it is 10,000, maybe it is 5,000. Okay, so that is capital to risk weighted asset ratio. They have to keep the capital with themselves as per the weightage of the risk that they are involved in by giving the loan or by giving the asset, by doing the asset. So this is CRAR. Currently the CRAR is 11.5%. So it is considered as a good CRAR. Okay, so there are different criteria that if they are not maintaining this, and they will be first put in the risk threshold 1, that they are not very good banks, and they have to follow some measures as decided by the RBI. If they are capped in the risk threshold 2, that means the bank is very unhealthy. And if they are kept in the risk threshold 3, they have the strongest of the measures have to be taken by the Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank of India will be imposing a lot of restrictions on them, because this means if they are coming in the risk threshold 3, means they are the most unhealthy types of banks. Okay. So next is asset quality. That is if you are giving the asset, if your loans are the assets. So if you are giving the assets, if you are giving the loans are coming back or not. Okay, so that is net non-performing assets. So not performing assets means you are giving the asset, but the asset is not coming back, the loan is not coming back, it becomes non-performing asset. The asset is not giving you any kind of return, the asset is not even coming back. So there are the criteria, there are the percentages that you have to see, that this percentage, if the NPA is greater than 6%, less than 9%, it will come under risk threshold 1. It is unhealthy but not very unhealthy. When the net NPA is greater than 9%, less than 12%, very unhealthy bank it is. If it is greater than 12%, that means it is the most unhealthy type of bank. Now coming to the leverage. Leverage means capital to the exposure that you are doing. So you have to maintain enough capital against the exposures that you are doing, so that you have enough leverage to maintain the base to continue working. Okay, so that is leverage. So I will not indulge much on this PCA framework, because I have already taken a session on the PCA framework for the banks when it was revised in November 2021, where we have in depth discussed about PCA framework for 20 to 25 minutes. So if you have any query regarding the PCA framework, any confusion regarding the PCA framework, you can see this session. I will give the link of this session in the description box below, and you can have the deeper, thorough understanding of the PCA framework. PCA framework is important, but here I have told you the basics of the PCA framework. You can see the session where all the percentages are discussed in depth. Okay. So now moving forward, I hope you have understood that the Reserve Bank of India has kept the Central Bank of India under the PCA framework, but now it has taken the Central Bank of India out of the PCA framework. Okay. So here in the previous session, as I told you that in this session I have already discussed everything about the PCA framework, when it was introduced, what were the criteria for the PCA framework before, what were the new criteria. This was the criteria as per April 2017, but in November 2021 the PCA framework was revised, and that's why the criteria or the parameters were changed. So everything, all of the PCA framework, the history of the PCA framework, the criteria, the parameters of the PCA framework, all of this has been discussed in that session. You can go and see. I have given the link in the description box below. So now continuing with the news article. Removal paves way for normal functioning. Now the Central Bank of India has been removed from the PCA framework. That means it can start the normal functioning. It will not be under very stringent measures of the RBI or the imposition of the RBI. Okay. For business, it can do the normal functioning now, as it has been removed from the PCA framework. That means it has become healthy. It has come out of the hospital. It would still be subject to certain conditions and continuous monitoring. Though the RBI has taken the bank out of the PCA framework, still the RBI will be monitoring the bank that it is working fine or not. Okay, the conditions, the stringent or the strong conditions has been removed, but there still will be some conditions to see that okay, it is going healthy, okay, the bank is working healthy. The RBI had placed central bank under PCA framework in June 2017 due to high net NPAs and negative return on assets. So you can understand that the NPA, the asset quality was very low because there were high net NPAs, the non-performing assets were very high. The bank was giving the loans, but the loans were not coming back. So the bank would have to close down if it would have continued doing this, if it would have continued getting high NPAs, and that's why the RBI had placed the central bank under the PCA framework, so that the RBI can look after the central bank, so that the impositions can be there, the restrictions can be there on the central bank, so that it can start getting healthy, it can start working healthy, okay. So here the central bank is the last of the public sector bank to come out of the PCA framework. It took a lot of time, nearly 5 years it took to for the central bank to get healthy, we can say, okay. Indian Overseas Bank and the UCO Bank were removed from the framework in the last year in September 2021. Okay, these were also kept under the PCA framework because they were also unhealthy, they were also not doing a great business, we can see, and that's why they were kept under the PCA framework, but the RBI has removed them from the framework because they have started working well. In September 2021, they were removed from the PCA framework. RBI said in a statement that central bank's performance was reviewed by the Board for Financial Supervision. According to the assessed figures of the bank for the year ended March 31st, 2022, the lender is not in breach of PCA parameters further. So now the bank is maintaining the PCA parameters, the percentages, that is the CRAR is above 11.5%, the NPAs, net NPAs is below 6%. So these are the parameters that the banks have to follow, okay. This I have discussed in the PCA framework session, okay. So its net NPA stood at 3.93%, that is very low, it is very lower than 6%. So that is a very good news for the bank, and that's why the RBI has taken this step to take the central bank out of the PCA framework, because now the central bank is doing very well, okay. End of June 2022, the NPAs was 3.93%, that is very low and that is very good, because non-performing assets are very less, means that you are giving the loans and the interest are coming back. It is very less happening that you are giving the loan and the loan is not coming back. It is very low, down from 10.20% in March 2017. So you can see that why the Central Bank of India was kept under the PCA framework, because the net NPAs was very high. It was nearly 10.2% in March 2017. That was very high from the 6% mark that the banks have to maintain. The capital adequacy ratio was 13.33%, that is above 11.5%, that is the minimum the banks have to maintain, so it is also good. At the end of June 2022, up from 10.95% in March 2017. So in March 2017, the capital adequacy was also very low for the banks, okay, for the central bank. And it has to be above 11.5%, that has been achieved by the central bank in by June 2022, and that's why it has been taken out from the PCA framework. So now the RBI said that the bank, here you have to remember it is 11.5% is the minimum for the CRAR, and the 6% is the minimum for the asset quality for the NPAs that we are discussing, okay. So other information you can get in the session that we have already done, and the link will be given in the description box regarding the complete PCA framework for the banks. RBI said that the bank is committed to comply. Now the Central Bank of India is committed to comply with the norms of the parameters regarding the regulatory capital, regarding the net NPA, and regarding the leverage ratio. So the banks, the central bank have to maintain all of this, has to comply with all of the regulations, so that it will not be put again under the PCA framework. If any of these measures is not met, it will again be kept under the PCA framework. Again the restrictions, impositions will be there, okay. So on the ongoing basis, the bank has to maintain all these criteria, okay. It has also appraised about the structural and systemic improvements that has been made in the central bank, and that's why the central bank has been taken out of the PCA framework. So now the next news article, sorry, I think the AC is not working, so it is like too much humidity is here, so that's why the voice is going up and down. So now continuing, the second news article is regarding the money, that is the mobile aided note identifier. Okay, so this is the app that has been launched in 2020. So the Money app was launched, and you have to remember the full form of Money. This app was launched on January 1st, 2020 for aiding the visually impaired persons. And this was not only for the visually impaired, but it was also for the hearing impaired persons. Okay, to identify the denomination of Indian banknotes. So what was happening, that for the visually impaired persons, it was sometimes that they were not getting that how much money they are receiving. Okay, they were not able to tell because they are visually impaired, so they were not able to tell that how much money they were getting. And so this app was launched, and this app which identifies the denomination of banknotes, you just have to scan. See what happens, that two easy steps you have to follow, the visually impaired person have to follow to identify the denomination of the currency, that the currency is of what denomination, 50 rupees, 500 rupees, 100 rupees. Okay, so first they have to download and install the Money app, and after that they have to open the app, point the camera to the note. Even if the note is folded now, still the camera will able to capture that, and from there they will be knowing, the app will be through the audio, the app will be telling that okay, this note is of 50 rupees, this note is of 500 rupees. So if you scan the note, the information will be given that this note is of this denomination. Okay, so before only 2 languages were in the app, Hindi and English. Now 11 more languages has been added. So those are Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Kannada, Malayalam, Marathi, Odia, Punjabi, Tamil, Telugu and Urdu languages have been added in the app, so that even the local people that only know their language, even they will be able to use this app. Okay. So the Money application is free and can be downloaded from the Android Play Store and iOS App Store without any charges or payment. So this app is especially for the visually impaired and the visually and hearing impaired. Okay. So this app identifies denomination of Mahatma Gandhi series and Mahatma Gandhi new series banknote. So this is a good feature. Identification by audio notification in Hindi and English, and vibration mode was there. So vibration mode is for the hearing impaired. So what was happening, that there is the ability to notify the denomination through an audio notification. So the app is telling to the visually impaired, it was easy to hear now that the note is of 50 rupees, 500 rupees. But for the visually impaired and for the hearing impaired, if the person is both, then what happens, that there was the vibration mechanism that was used, that if it vibrates once, the phone vibrates once, it means it is 5 rupees. If it vibrates twice, it means it is 10 rupees, and so on and so forth. 3 times vibrate means 20 rupees and so on. Okay. In case the app is unable to identify the denomination, it uses a long vibration to tell that you have to scan again. So it is, the app is both for the visually impaired and the visually and hearing impaired. And these are the features. I think that you are not able to see this picture clearly. You can download the PDF from the Telegram channel, or the link will be given in the Telegram in the description. So you can read this in the PDF. Okay. It is just that after downloading, internet is not required, and it works offline also, as well as it is available on Google and Apple Store. Okay, so it works offline also. You just have to scan, and the identification will be done of the currency notes, as well as the vibration is there, the audio message is there. Okay, you just have to select from this. You have to select the impairment, and according to that you will be notified. If you are only visually impaired, so you will be notified through the audio that okay, this note is of 500 rupees. If you are both, that is visually and hearing impaired, that means the phone will start vibrating once for 5 rupees, twice for 10 rupees. Okay. So I hope you have understood both news articles. Kindly see the PDF and kindly see the PCA framework session that was already done before. So if you want to get a deeper understanding of the PCA framework, the news article was only telling about the Central Bank of India that is taken out of the PCA framework, that has 3.93% of the NPA now if we see the data till June 2022, and the capital ratio also increased. It is above 11.5%. Okay, 11.5% is minimum, and the capital that is maintained by the Central Bank of India in June 2022, it was nearly 13%. Okay, so now I hope you can easily understand this question and easily answer this question. The news article also I hope you have got, and you have got the brief idea of the PCA framework. So this is the second question that you can see, and I hope you can easily answer this question also. Kindly download the PDF of this session. The link will be given in the description box below of both the PDF also of the PCA framework previous session also. Okay. So thank you very much. If you have any query, you can mail us here or you can contact us through this number. Thank you very much, everyone.